can we just go to a place where it's just us and make some songs, or even just some noise? And so we went to kind of the Highlands in Scotland, had to take a ferry across.
Wow.
It was like no pub, no shop on this little kind of island, just a studio.
Sounds a bit Lord of the Flies, I'm not going to lie.
Pretty intense, man, pretty intense. Just a lot of like making pots of soup and eating porridge and stuff like that, like really stripping it back.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Nick from Rolling Stone UK, and this is Rolling Stone UK's Deep Dive. It's our new video series where we get artists to speak about their new projects, what they're up to, and get them to go deep on it. For the first instalment, it's an absolute pleasure to be joined by the one and only Mr. Jack Cochrane from the Snuts.
Yeah, man.
How are you, Jack?
Very well, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. So we are here just a matter of hours. Last night you were in London, you played Lafayette.
Yeah, man.
To preview, we have it here. Millennials.
Ta-da.
There we go. The third album
from
the Snuts. How does it feel that your third child, your third child is here? It's almost out in the wild.
Yeah, man, that's the first I've seen this as well. Yeah, no,
there you go. Take it in, breathe it in.
Nah, it's beautiful. No, it's really exciting. I think this record, for us, has been probably like the, maybe even the most important for us as a band. I think we set out to make this record with like a sense of like freedom and almost carelessness in a way. So the fact that it's actually materialised into a record that we're proud of is something that's pretty cool.
Do you think you've achieved that kind of sense of freedom and carelessness? Do you think that comes across in the record?
For sure. I think that energy kind of exists in all the songs. I think, like I say, that's the first record that we've ever made where there's been like no outside noise or opinion. No one's coming to us and saying, this song could be better, or this, you need to make music that could be more kind of music that would resonate with this type of kind of demographic. It's just been us going, we like this song, this is going on the record, we think it's a good song, kind of thing.
You kind of spoke of those kind of outside pressures, and this kind of being the first time you've been able to do that without people kind of putting their oar in, as it were. I know you left your label and you've gone independent. How's that been for you, this kind of challenge of going it alone and being like, right, we're kind of setting our own path and our own course now?
Yeah, I think it's been quite kind of liberating, and always kind of been part of the plan for us as a band. I think we've always been very hands-on and very opinionated and wanting to do the hard work, wanting to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So I think this time, we've just kind of been prepared to kind of go and do it on our own, and kind of make the music for us as well, which has been pretty cool.
Because I know we spoke about this the last time we spoke, and how I guess there's a lot of pressures with labels and kind of ones that leave you questioning whether this is the thing you signed up for in the first place. Tell us a bit about that and kind of the place that you guys found yourself in that regard.
When we first signed to a major label, the landscape of music was so different, I think. It was kind of, very music orientated. It was really about the songs and about what you were bringing as an artist and as a musician. And I think over that, 5 years maybe that we were inside that system, that completely changed. Everything became very personality driven, and it was about kind of following trends and stuff like that. And that is a cliche to kind of complain about that as an artist, but I think we've got to a point where it's really out of control and probably affecting a lot of the output of artists and the general well-being. And I think we got to a point where we're saying, this isn't what we signed up for. We came into this to make music, and if we choose to be introverted about that and how we promote it and how we come across and how we share our private lives, it's kind of becoming under question. Why don't we just go back to what we've always did and make music and be a band kind of thing?
It's really interesting because this has obviously been a kind of whole debate that's been swirling in the last few years. I know people like Florence Welch have talking about it. In the States, it's been like Demi Lovato, and they've spoken of this thing like the pressures to, which you kind of touched upon, to make TikToks and the like, and ones where artists who are obviously very focused on the music and, as you say, want to hold something back, are suddenly being forced to put this side out of themselves that feels unnatural in a way as well. Did you kind of feel that was the case?
Yeah, I think so. Like I say, I think most artists and musicians I know are generally pretty introverted, and making music is their way of kind of healing, and there's a catharsis to that. And I think a lot of that's been stripped away by, can you fit what you're trying to say into 30 seconds, and can you make it funny, and and can you be loud and vibrant, and a lot of people don't feel like being that person. You know, I think making music is why, you know, you do that, so you don't have to be that person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just getting to the point, and I think, you know, artists are feeling that across the board. I think it's getting to the point, you know, people are cancelling tours and burning out. We just these external pressures on top of, you know, what already comes with, like, you know, making music, late nights, touring, you know, 2/3 of the year.
Yeah.
I think these pressures are just getting too much for artists to bear.
Did you guys ever, was that kind of the decision, did you guys ever get to a point where you're like, right, we are somewhere around the burnout point almost, or were you kind of like conscious of that? Or?
Yeah, I think so, and I think also just, you know, the relationship with our label was at, you know, just complete breaking point.
Yeah.
Here, you know, I think things happen at labels that you're not expecting, you know, people coming in and out and changing, and people that you've worked with go, and then you get these new people in, and they're very, you know, kind of like say it's very TikTok based or something like that, and that just doesn't apply to every artist, and it's this kind of one size fits all kind of approach, I think, that you're getting in the industry at the moment, that we were just like, well, this size doesn't actually fit us, and we need to kind of take a step away from that.
How liberating is it now that you're kind of on the other side? Millennials, it's coming out, you sold out Lafayette, the kind of hunger from the fans and from yourselves is still there, but you guys are more in control of it, aren't you?
Yeah, it's cool, man. I think we just have more, like, we have a better relationship with the people who are listening to our music again, which I think goes back to, you know, one of the big reasons we started this band, you know, we were putting out demos and stuff like that at the start, just purely so people could, you know these songs to come to these shows and have that experience with us. And I think, you know, since taking a step and making this record, we've kind of almost maybe like repaired or glued up that bond that we have with fans. You know, it's not about like buy, sell, you know, which I think is that there's a lot of pressure on artists to be like that now. I think right now we have this kind of direct line of communication, and we're kind of all in it together, and there's like appreciation from us towards fans and appreciation for fans towards us, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and as I said, that shows the fact that, you know, Lafayette was sold out last night. I've seen videos. That was, I believe, the first time that you played the record in full.
Yeah, man.
And I knew before we started filming, you were saying that it was your first show in months. There was a bit of ring rust.
Yeah.
How was it? One, to kind of get out there again after, you said it was 3 months off, right?
Yeah, I think so.
3 months. But then also to be like, right, okay, this is the whole new album. Daunting but exciting.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's the first time we've ever just, you know, said like, here's a record start to finish, and played that. So, you know, the first half an hour of the show was just like this record. And then, you know, we kind of went back to some classics in the end. But it was cool, you know, kind of nerve-wracking, you're playing it in that live environment and just being like, here is the songs, you know, in their fullest and in their barest.
Yeah.
And just try to gauge, you know, that reaction, which seemed pretty positive, which is nice. And I remember going to shows when I was younger, and a band would play their new record, and I'd be like, wow, I'm not feeling this.
Yeah.
Like, this is not why I'm here. But I didn't get that feeling, so I'm hoping that's a good sign.
Who do you kind of remember? What were those kind of like formative gigs where you kind of, was there any that stand out, or just in general, like, I guess when you were growing up, who were like those kind of teenage years gigs for you that were ones that like, that's, you know, always going to be like seared into my brain?
I think like we went to see like every kind of formation that anything Pete Doherty's ever done. So
right,
always,
okay.
like Pete Doherty solo, Baby Shambles, Libertines, we're always hitting that pretty hard. And I think that was always that kind of environment at those shows was something we always wanted to create. But, you know, like bands like Bombay Bicycle Club and stuff like that, I loved going to see them when I was younger, because they had this like real musicality and like professionalism that I think that like kind of combats the kind of chaoticness of the rock and roll that we were kind of inspired by. And I think what we were kind of trying to do is like a blend of that. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Because
you mentioned the Libertines, that must have been a full circle moment, because I saw you supporting them. Admittedly, this was during COVID, not that you want to ever talk about the period again, but at that weird socially distanced gig in Newcastle where everyone was in the pens, that was a weird experience. But then did you kind of get the chance to speak to like Pete and Carl and the boys?
Yeah, it was so cool. Like, they're proper like gentlemen. Like, a lot of, definitely for sure, that don't meet your heroes thing is really true in a lot of circumstances, but for that one it just wasn't. You know, they were like proper like English gentlemen. That's how it felt to me, you know, quite well spoken, and gave us the time of day watching our set, you know, a bit of advice here and there. So it's nice when that happens and works out for you. Yeah.
Also, the new album is very, very good. I don't know if you had the chance to hear it.
Yeah, I've been checking bits and bobs out.
It's great.
They're in a cool spot, man.
Yeah. So just going back to your album, of course, I know you were kind of saying that the other albums were kind of made when you were on the road and kind of fragmented, whereas the last time you spoke, you were saying that this was very much a chance to be like, right, we're back in Scotland and kind of hone in on that and create something that's, I guess, less chaotic because you're not moving around as much. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that was the plan.
That was the plan.
That was
okay.
the plan. So we started off, with the idea of like, let's just actually make music as friends. Like, let's not have this project in mind and this goal. Like, can we just go to a place where it's just us and make some songs, or even just some noise? So we went to kind of the Highlands in Scotland. Had to take a ferry across.
Wow.
It was like no pub, no shop on this little kind of island, just a studio.
Sounds a bit Lord of the Flies, I'm not going to lie.
Pretty intense, man. Pretty intense. Just a lot of like making pots of soup and eating porridge and stuff like that. Like really stripping it back.
Yeah.
But so we went up there and songs started kind of coming out that were like, these are actually pretty good. I think the first one we did was Gloria.
Yeah.
We're like, cool, let's do 10 of these. But that didn't work out. So we wrote quite a lot, maybe like probably half the record in there. And then it's like, oh shit, time. Here we go again. We need to go on tour. So we on tour the full year. But we're just like, because we kind of took a bare bones studio in Scotland, we could take that on the road as well. So we're recording like hotel rooms, back of the bus, and like if I had a day off, we'd just be booking a studio. So we end up recording a lot of this record in like America and Japan and Australia. So like I think the tempo and the pace of the record is like kind of epitomised by our lifestyles at the point.
Yeah,
just being on the move and just like living fast and like not worrying too much about the decisions we're making.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that kind of found its way into the record.
There's a lot of like textures, as you say. Like I think you can kind of like notice the kind of bits where it's a little bit higher and kind of slower bits. And I think I can definitely see that it's all kind of around the world. It's a proper international record as well, I guess.
Yeah, man. Like I say, there was no noise around it, so we didn't feel like we had to be super cool. I think sometimes when you're making a record, you get in your head like what kind of band you want to be, or what you think is going to be the next thing that's going to work for you and keep you making music or something. But there was none of that with this record. So I think like a lot of the themes and the songs and the ideas around it, we felt like much more comfortable to dip into those things, like those emotions that we maybe brushed over or songs that we'd brushed over because we're trying to be really cool.
Yeah.
This time it's like, well, this is who we are, so like we can just go with this.
Yeah.
Which was kind of, again, quite liberating.
I know you've also spoke, the title is Millennials, about kind of millennial life and how that feeds in and these ideas of materialism and kind of getting lost of, losing perspective of things that matter as well, right?
For sure. I think that the title Millennials was kind of came to us with the idea like that millennials is like an idea for us that all these kind of points and big moments and things that have shaped you, kind of culminating and gathering up together and reaching to this point to like try to work out where are you right now, like where am I in my life right now. That's what kind of Millennials was to us. And it was kind of cool to go back and not be so present as well, and not be too much worried about the future.
Yeah.
I think just seeing how do we get here and where are we, I think it was kind of nice.
Okay, great. So we said millennials. Now, Jack, I'm going to put you on the spot. We have a millennial quiz for you.
Come on.
We have questions all about things millennials. So here we go. First up, this is from 2017. There was some research done, and it said Londoners would have to give up how many portions of that favoured millennial food, avocado on toast, if they wanted to buy a house. How many portions do you reckon that they would have to give up if they wanted to buy a house? This was from 2017, so 7 years ago, but still.
Serious maths. This is Londoners we're talking.
This is London as well,
wow,
so
It's a whole different type of maths for me. I'm going to say 20,000.
Very good. You're not far off at all, mate. It's 24,500. Wow. So that's respectable and that's good.
Nah, I don't think they're going to be willing to give that up.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I'm not an avocado fan, but I know a lot of people are, so, diehards. How much is the most basic Netflix subscription per month? There's different price plans, but the most basic bare bones one, if you want to do it, how much are you paying a month?
It's got to be it's got to be in the 15 mark now, surely.
So what are you saying?
15 quid.
Oh, actually a little bit better. For the cheapest option where you have adverts in it, it's only £5.
Oh my days.
Which, I mean, you might have to have a few adverts while you're watching Squid Game or whatever, but it's not a bad option, is it?
It's not bad, and
yeah, it's all right.
Can you have your gran and your mum and your brother on that account?
No, sadly not. This is the one where you're just going to have to have it as opposed
the one
to...
you want.
Yeah, it's the one you want. And also, preferably not be the one that's paying for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know that I So in the era of millennials, what was the first year where if you were born, you'd be a millennial?
You know, I should know this. I'm going to say like 92 or something.
1981. So
81?
yeah.
Miles out.
So 81 up to, I believe, 96, maybe 97, but one of those. So a good 15, 16-year period.
What about it?
Yeah. In which movie, a defining coming-of-age movie for millennials, did one of the characters assume the fake ID of someone called McLovin to get served?
Oh, classic. Superbad.
There we go.
Classic,
Absolutely.
man. Don't make them like that anymore.
They don't indeed. Classic millennial movie. And finally, what is the name of the new album by the Snuts?
Millennials.
It's Millennials. Well, there we go.
Come on.
Cheers, Jack. Thank you so much
Pleasure,
for your time,
man.
mate.
Always, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.